Hello and welcome to Castle of Horror, the show dedicated to horror movies and awesomeness. This is a Hangout episode. This is one of those episodes that we have in between the other episodes where we do things that are maybe a little more off the beaten path or driven by something we've read in the newspaper or just something that we're encouraging one another to watch, but we don't keep in the mainline Sunday show. Tonight, we are discussing Planet of Dinosaurs, a 1977 science fiction film that Drew has forced us to watch. So with me tonight, from Austin, Tony Salvaggio, tech director at Rooster Teeth, lead singer and bassist of the band Deserts of Mars, and lead guitarist of the band Rise from Fire. Say hello, Tony.
Howdy.
Howdy. And also in Austin, the man who brought you this film, Mr. Drew Edwards, is the writer-creator of the long-running underground comic Halloween Man, currently published by Comixology, winner of a 2018 Best of Austin Award from the Austin Chronicle, member of the PEN America Fellowship, and Ringo nominee. Hello, Drew.
Can I apologize in advance? I don't know what you thought about it, although I have a pretty good idea. Can I apologize in advance for this exercise in nostalgia that I have led y'all down tonight?
I mean, I don't know if you need to apologize.
Necessary. No.
What are we, raccoons?
No apology necessary. First of all, this is the kind of movie that
A bunch of raccoons.
this is fun to watch. Yes.
One of my favorite lines in recent memory.
That was the only script I'm going to read, by the way. For a Hangout episode, we have no script. We're just winging it. But Planet of Dinosaurs, I suppose we should treat this like an actual movie. So, Drew, why don't you explain what is the 1977? It's an actual film that you can watch on Prime. It is also on Riff Tracks. But no, seriously, and I mean no disrespect at all. What is Planet of Dinosaurs?
So, let me explain how we got here today. First of all, I'm doing this in part. Think of this as a splinter episode of the dinosaur retrospective that we did earlier this year that tied into the dinosaurs in Halloween Man, which finally, the second part of that finally came out on Comixology last week because it was severely delayed due to the COVID-19 crisis. And I thought, hey, why not follow up with doing a dinosaur movie?
Fabulous.
And I looked at what was available on the streaming services, and I came down to the 1992 Lost World, which is a fun film. It's an adaptation of the Conan Doyle story, and this, which is a movie that I have a lot of nostalgia for.
Oh yeah,
I think it has. Yes, I think it has one of the best VHS covers of my childhood. It's got the buff shirtless dude holding a ray gun as he storms there's two scantily clad girls with daggers, and he's charging the T-Rex as it stands on a mountain of bodies. And
right.
Planet of the Dinosaurs. And I remember when I saw that when I was a kid, I was like, this is the coolest movie poster that I've ever seen. And it said that it had won a science fiction award. So I thought, well, how bad it could be. And I watched this movie dozens of times as a kid. That's wonderful. And I think this is a perfect example of when you're a kid, you completely overlook the film's flaws. You will see it in those rose-colored kid glasses. And all I knew is this had really awesome stop-motion dinosaurs. And I did not realize as a kid that most of this movie is people walking around the wilderness in California while they pretend they're shipwrecked in another planet. So I haven't seen this movie in a few years, but I am glad that I picked it because I really wanted to do something that was, when we did the actual dinosaur retrospective, most of those movies, even the ones that are kind of B movies, are more or less well-regarded or well-remembered movies. I wanted to do something that was a little trashy, so this definitely fits the bill of something that's a little bit more low grade, certainly in terms of script. What is Planet of the Dinosaurs? Simply put, a spaceship crash lands on a planet. Survivors just get off the wreck, and they find that the planet is filled with dinosaurs.
Yeah.
That's literally the plot.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
the characters basically wander around and react to things. Stuff they're running.
Eventually, they do come up with a plan, but yes, yeah.
For some reason, they have to kill the T-Rex.
I want to get.
So, Drew,
yeah,
did
Tony,
you?
go ahead.
Was this part of when you discovered, like early on? My brothers and I discovered that a painted cover on VHS usually meant, especially barbarian movies, if you saw a Frazetta painting, buyer beware.
Yeah.
It may be fun. I'm not saying that it's terrible or that you should, but your expectations were managed by how cool the painted. Usually, it was kind of lifted, like already some Frazetta had painted it somewhere or something.
Yeah.
Or somebody was ripping off a Frazetta painting.
Or a Meatloaf cover, because there are a number of covers that rip off Bat Out of Hell, for real.
That is true too. Now,
I was not old enough to be when I came across this movie. I was not old enough. Like, gotcha. I legitimately thought this was a good movie until I was 20. My nostalgia goggles for this movie were really thick.
I think you should still enjoy it. Like, I mean, it's fun in a lot of ways. And you know what? The more I thought about it, because I had first seen it on Riff Tracks.
Yeah.
I fired up Tubi. It was late at night. Planet of Dinosaurs, sure. I do like that they really do swing for the fences.
Yes.
Especially
including in an emotional storyline. They include more kibitzing about emotions and rank and all that stuff than most mainstream stuff. This one really is. You're right. Swinging for the fences.
I really think they thought they were making. It's not that they thought they were making. They were attempting to make a story that was going to be like a gritty survivor story.
Right. Flight of the Phoenix. Flight of the Phoenix with dinosaurs, basically.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they didn't have the resources, and some actors are better than others.
Yeah.
I will say that the lead heavy, partly because he doesn't have a lot of lines, but also I think he does a lot of the lifting because he's fully committed and it works. Whereas a lot of the other actors. But granted, the dinosaurs are still the best actors. The stop motion dinosaurs are still the best actors in the movie.
There's the well, you know what? Before we get into the characters, because I also want to talk about the comedian character. There's a so-called funny character who steals eggs, right? But and he's an executive too. Right. So he's an executive who steals eggs and gets what's coming to him.
As I can tell, though, this is like the cast of a 1970s porn movie that has somehow wandered into a dinosaur movie.
Well, there is that sort of vacant line delivery. Exactly, you're right. The kind of line delivery where it's like, Randy Spears and Ron Jeremy are going to give you 15 lines of dialogue.
Oh crap!
It is
The more after seeing that movie, oh man, I have to look up the name of it. But the movie I think I talked about where the guy hired all the make your own porn companies and then pieced it together.
Yeah.
Now that I think about that movie, I think
how
about
cool
the delivery in here, and I wonder now if these actors aren't really actors who have been in other movies when they are acting.
Right. We will need actors to read lines and emote.
But the porno-ness of this is not helped that you have a character that takes off his shirt to go swimming and then just never
puts it, because he's a hunky dude, and so they just let him run around shirtless for the rest of the film. But I want to get some opening thoughts. I don't know, Tony, do you have anything else that you would like to share, or do you
I mean, it's a hangout. Again, they do, and for all of the kind of joking aside, the stop motion parts, maybe not some of the little kind of red dinosaurs, maybe not as much, but overall they are as well placed into the scene as a lot of other movies that we also think is kind of B movies. It's weird because
absolutely
maybe not. There's certain shots that the spaceship going into the water and stuff like that doesn't look as good, but whenever they're doing stop motion
The dinosaur composite.
It actually looks really good.
Yes. Even the worst dinosaur composite images look better than many of the so-called mainstream dinosaur movies we saw.
And there's been a lot of like really cheesy, crappy things done in CG and elsewhere that this stomps all of that in a lot of ways. When you get into just, if it had been a dinosaur fight highlight reel, that would have been fine too, because they did a really good job.
The one guy getting impaled by the Centrosaurus, that is one of my favorite kills in any dinosaur movie. Like, that is great. So badass. There's a you talk about the bad CG. There is a semi remake of this movie called Jurassic Galaxy.
Really?
And it's basically the exact same plot line. None of the charm, because all the dinosaurs are poorly rendered CG, like just cheap bottom of the barrel CG. This movie has a lot of charm because of the stop motion dinosaurs. And I also, as somebody that kind of keeps up with what, it's cool to see these old, like what they thought dinosaurs might have looked like back in the 70s.
The designs remind me a lot of like Land of the Lost style dinosaurs and stuff. That,
absolutely.
I just wanted to mention, actually, just my overarching thesis about this movie is I actually am really super glad that I watched it. I tease about it, but to be honest, I watch a lot of... I'm glad you chose this, and I think maybe you chose this one for me. First of all, because there's a riff tracks. But second, I appreciate that you chose this knowing that I was going to be watching this, because I like grimy 1970s movies. And this is some of the best, like, grainy 1970s stuff ever. And this is a way, way more sensible script than many of the Italian slasher films I watch. So it's... So I mean, I love the 70s clothes. I love the hair. I love and I find charming how the writers continually try to come up with more plot for the characters to talk about. Because again, you're right. All they have is what appears to be a state park or something that they're walking around, and they have to have plot to discuss, when they're not fighting dinosaurs. And so actually it works for me. That was totally charming. So there you go. So good job. I didn't want you to think I really hated it, because
I wasn't sure, like I said, this is a movie that I have nostalgic things for. So like but I am now an adult enough to know there are long stretches of this movie, like the stuff that I feel like, looking back on it when I was a kid, the stuff that there's a lot of walking in this movie. It's like probably just as much walking in this movie as there is in all 3 Lord of the Rings movies. And it's only an hour and a half long.
Yes.
So when
I think riff tracks is actually a good way to enjoy it too.
Yeah. Or you could, if you can get, if you're able to watch it with like a family member or a friend, and you can, heckle it a little bit yourself. But, when I was a kid, I don't think I noticed the slow parts of this, because I had a kid's attention span. So I would just like get up and play with dinosaur models during those parts. Sure. And then all of a sudden, like, you would have a dinosaur fight, and I would be engaged again.
Yeah. There was this experience recently where Julia and I were doing a interview with a couple of the Riff Tracks comedians, and we were talking about this comedy movie that I used to watch all the time, which I think we've mentioned before, High School USA. So I watched that movie like 90 times, over and over and over again. I knew it backwards and forwards, and I had no idea how bad a movie it was too. It was exactly the same thing. I recently, when we were talking to a certain magazine that's going to be publishing an interview with us, one of the things I said in my answer is that I am no longer sure at my age, which is nearly half a century, I don't know what art is for. But I'm pretty certain that if you are engaging with a work of art and watching it over and over again, that it is doing its job, no matter what you're supposed to think, So it can be a fun exercise for us to go, these actors are actually not very good, but also for some crazy reason, I'm reacting to something in this. So yeah. But can I talk about one of the plots I really like in here? There's a weird psychodrama plot going on in this thing. So you have you have Captain Lee, right? And Captain Lee is a regular dude, and I mean really a regular 70s dude. He is the captain of the ship. He has a mustache and kind of longish, boring brown hair. And then his chief engineer is a man called Jim. And Jim is this hulking, like 6.5 foot tall, bearded, manly man that all the women like swoon over. And the movie is a strange, just dick measuring psychodrama between Captain Lee and Jim. That's the movie, and there's dinosaurs, and it's great. I love that.
The dick waving is in part over should we try and kill this T-Rex or not?
He's just going to come for us.
Because every decision that Captain Lee makes, Jim's like, I don't agree with his decision making. He's going to get us all killed.
Well, some of it's pretty not great. Like, the captain's really trying, but when he goes, hey, we'll go to this plateau and there'll be food. Have you seen what a plateau is? The top of it, like, it's not an oasis.
Right. It's a mountain. Like, you're on a mountain.
Usually not. I mean, I guess probably if I looked it up, there's probably a geographer who goes, no, well, actually here there is an actual oasis on top of one of these plateaus. But in general, it's pretty scrubby and there's not much there. But he keeps doing these things like, let's build a stockade, and but it's ramshackle, and
but
he's
it's
really
trying. And it doesn't last. Yeah, that's the strange thing. The futility of everything they do in this movie.
Well,
I don't know if it's symbolic or something. Go ahead.
What I am mystified about is when I watch this as an adult.
Yeah.
So every time they try to fight the dinosaurs, they have ray guns that are for some reason.
Sorry, I'm laughing at the sound of this.
They might as well be laser pointers.
Yeah, their ray guns are useless. They don't do anything. But for some reason, pointed sticks can injure these things. Why?
Wow, that's a super good point.
Plus, they make the worst decisions ever as they lose the amount of ray guns. Because they also never seem to fire multiple lasers at any beast.
Yeah.
Who knows why.
They just try it a little. If it's a heat ray of some kind, you think it's going to burn it a little bit. So you kind of got to lay on it probably for like a long time to get to do some damage. But
no, let's give them to people who throw them away and drop them, and oh man, just poor decision.
Well, also everything in the science fiction universe is not very water resistant.
That's
right.
For sure.
Right. These ray guns are look, I don't know from ray guns, but these ray guns are destroyed if you drop them in water. So one guy gets in trouble. It was like, you're such a loser. You dropped your ray gun in the water.
Well, no, he gives it to somebody who drops it in the water. Everybody seems to treat them as if the laser guns are hot all the time.
Right.
They're constantly playing hot potato with their laser guns. Like, no, you keep those safe. I mean, evidently they suck anyway. Maybe
it's not like this is definitely not the Star Trek away team.
I know.
I mean,
what are these?
Everybody
people?
wears a red shirt, and
So look at some of the interesting influences going on here, because like I say, the guy who is the comic relief guy, his name is I'm looking at. I think
Harvey.
Right? So Harvey, yes,
who's from the East Coast for some reason.
And he's listed as a vice president of the company. So he's greedy and also funny, and he gets killed stealing dinosaur eggs. So and what is that?
This is
right. We're gonna have eggs Benedict. And they have funny music playing whenever he moves around.
Yeah.
But what's wild
is a baffling affair as well.
That's alien. I mean, so I'm looking at the stuff, like the person who put this script together. They're just like, you picture them in a room, like surrounded by posters, and they're just sort of reaching wildly in all directions, going, I don't know, there's a greedy executive like in Alien, and there's and let's have the first person get eaten while they're swimming, like in Jaws. And
they even kind of play like Jaws type music when
they do.
The random chick gets eaten.
Yes.
Well, she did have
a good scene,
they did have her take her shirt off first, so
yes.
Well, if we were to go on the trend of this group of people, if she had survived, she would not have put her shirt on ever again. Because there's something in the atmosphere of this planet that makes you decide not to wear a shirt.
In case you are listening, for the listener, if you're deciding whether to watch this movie, she is not topless. She's actually wearing this sort of space sports bra,
bikini
that she swims with. But and then spoilers, she gets eaten. So, but and then there's the girl who wears the belly shirt all the time and is curiously a belly dancer. I don't even know if that was in the script or if the girl just showed up and they were like, "Can we put that in the script?" Sure, no matter what.
The more that I think about it, the more I think this theory of a group of adult actors in California was the pool for this movie. And maybe that's not true. And I wouldn't, if any actor was listening to this and got offended, I would totally understand. I don't,
that'd be so funny. Be like, listen, my uncle was Jim, and let me tell you, he was a fantastic actor,
steel worker, and he, I don't know. I mean, again, but the delivery, if that was the case, the delivery of a lot of the lines and the way the acting feels would bear out. But, and hey, that's also a living. Adult film star is also a living.
Hell yeah.
Not meaning to impugn any of that, but as far as acting goes,
Jim is the best actor.
A little like that. No, he's great. Like, actually, the other guy with the mustache is kind of the common sense guy.
The other guy with the mustache doesn't really narrow.
Oh yeah, that's true.
This movie,
you're talking about the handsome one who's not Jim.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The one who's kind of the Marlboro Man. I can't remember the name of that character.
Where's his tunic like unzipped but not totally off?
Right. He's in the 70s, but not of them.
Their spacesuits look like they were designed by young John Byrne.
Right.
Oh,
the suits are great. I do. I love it. These guys look as though they should have a musical variety show of themselves when they are not making this movie, because it's that they have these wonderful like full body suits that reminds me of like the Brady music hour. So yes, good. If you've ever watched,
you're right.
Oh hell.
I realized, now that you mentioned it, though, that is the worst qualifier. That guy with the mustache. It's like, you mean all of them? That is that's awful.
That's true. There is literally no man without facial hair.
I mean, it is the 70s, so I mean that's
Jim though has facial hair like that appears to have taken over his entire head. He looks like the big floating head in Zardoz.
He looks like he would fight $6 Million Man.
Yes, he does. That's right.
Like he should have been on a $6 Million Man episode. They would have grappled mightily.
He looks like a Russian assassin from the $6 Million Man. Yes, he does. He'd be somebody called Super Rasputin.
He just wants everybody to understand that in this world, it's kill or be killed. It's their world now.
These are lines from the chief engineer of the ship. So he's like
crazy.
Yeah, go ahead.
He's the chief engineer, and he's like, he's had the most space combat training.
So what do we know? So this world has space combat in it. It has space combat. It has greedy
spaceship corporation.
Yeah, spaceship corporations and planets with dinosaurs, and it's actually kind of an interesting world, to be honest.
We know nothing about the science fiction universe, only the little bits of hints that they tell you. Like there could be all other kinds of weird Star Wars timeline that we're not even aware of, because like they're so preoccupied with killing this T-Rex. Which I keep going back to. Anytime this is brought up, I'm like, it's an entire planet apparently filled with dinosaurs. That's probably not the only one.
Right.
But it's the only one in their area because it's staked claim.
They should just be looking for a cool place to hang out and not be around the dinosaurs. Which, by the way, is close to what they wind up doing.
It's a planet of dinosaurs, Jason.
Yes.
That's going to be really difficult to find. And I keep calling it Planet of the Dinosaurs. It's just Planet of Dinosaurs. I don't know why they decided to go that route with it.
Because there's not just the dinosaurs. There's lots of dinosaurs. So Planet of Dinosaurs.
It's true.
This movie, get this. I did not know this This movie won the 1980 Saturn Award, believe it or not, presented by the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films, in the best film produced for under $1 million category.
I mean,
that's fair.
That doesn't sound outside the realm.
Like,
again, when you look at what's going on and what effects were like at the time, and then how you put it all together, that's pretty fair, actually. I could totally see that.
Okay, so I want to ask you a question about this. And it's a way to analyze how we have been thinking about this movie. Steve Biodrowski, who I know, I haven't talked to him in like 20 years, but I know I used to work with that guy. He wrote about this, and he called this movie something like pure 1970s camp, right? I don't know. This movie's not camp, as far as I know.
I don't think so.
And my question is, like, can we just think in terms of like, what is our? If I say to you, "Hey, watch this movie, it's camp," does that poison the movie when you walk into it? I'm actually just trying to think
for a lot of people, it is, I think. And I think it's become, I think you can have camp that's fun. I think it goes back to this whole kind of fight that happens now. I think people use camp for the wrong. I don't think they're using the right definition.
Yeah.
I still think of camp as variety show, and, Batman,
right.
60s Batman is kind of campy, but
like Bob Hope playing Sherlock Holmes and like
right, or Kit's
at his own jokes.
Kit's Halloween. The Paul Lynde Halloween special.
Yeah,
that's definitely campy.
That's camp, right? Or the whatever superhero show.
Right,
that's camp. But I think people get offended when you can have something that is slightly campy, that is not played for camp. And also, for some reason, people think that if something has even the smallest bit of camp, that you're equating it with like full of slide whistles.
Interesting.
And that's not the case. And I think you can still have some nudge wink stuff. But now we've gone to this other direction where people are so just full of, I don't want this to be camp, it has to be serious, that it's overly serious.
Yeah.
Which takes it into this laughable.
Oh, thank you for saying that. That's interesting. So you're saying that the grimdark is grimdark is an attempt to like a dude overdressing a certain way.
Come on,
to get people not to say things about him. Right.
Like why does everybody make fun of the Superman Batman movie when they both go, "Wait, your mom was Martha"? Like, is that not like, everybody gets offended if you call that out, but that's ridiculous.
Yes.
So,
that is up there with camp. But I think anytime I see somebody just overly, it's the, effect of like very super duper super purple prose, like, grape jelly purple prose, where it's so serious that you just roll your eyes because no one would ever think that that's reality.
I also think it's letting things exist. To keep in the Batman example for a second.
Yeah, which is a fun thing to bring up because we've been talking about Batman a lot this week.
Oh, not that Batman has anything to do with dinosaurs, but here we go.
Right.
He's got one in his cave.
That's true. It's true.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah. I think about when I think about Batman. And the way Batman looks in his world. And I think one of the problems that even though I think for the most part they are well-made movies, one of my problems with the Nolan Batman movies, that he shot Batman, he made Gotham City look so much like a real city. And most of the time he's just shooting in Chicago. Mm-hmm. And Batman looks kind of absurd when you have him in that kind of environment. Whereas whatever you want to say about the artificialness of the Tim Burton movies, where they're these really elaborate sets, you can be kind of an operatic character by nature.
Yes,
doesn't seem as silly in that environment. Like, I can take him, his believability to me is heightened if you have a Gotham City that looks more like the Gotham City that I think of, that exists in my head, which is not exactly a real city. It's like a heightened place to begin with, so it makes sense that there's all these.
And
absurd characters running around, and I don't think that's I don't think people like I hear people refer to that as camp, and I don't think that's exactly right. I think it's that you're creating a world.
Mm-hmm.
Not that this movie even comes close to that, because like,
Tim Burton's Batman is camp.
Yeah, I hear that all the time now, and I'm like, I don't think you know what
those people don't understand what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah,
I got to admit, like the more I talk about this, the less I understand the word, and the more I would avoid it. I mean, because
like 60s Batman, you can
yes, 60s Batman definitely. Somebody today said Dark Shadows. No, Dark Shadows is not
Dark
camp. Shadows might be self-serious, but it's not camp.
Melodramatic and camp is not.
It's definitely right. Okay, you bring up something else.
That's exactly it.
I've been thinking about this a lot lately because I love melodramas. It's like one of my favorite just relaxation things is melodrama. Peyton Plays, Valley of the Dolls, all that crap. Love melodrama. None of that stuff gets respect, and people go, "It's a camp favorite." It is fucking not. It is a melodrama. You know, it's intended to be an entertainment. It is not the same thing as a Paul Lynde skit.
Yeah. Man, we live in a world where literally has become synonymous with figuratively, and irregardless is also. So the rules are thrown.
You're right. Maybe this is
20, man. I don't know, but camp is not melodrama, and I wish people would fucking quit.
I mean, you can have something that is a melodrama that is campy. And I would certainly say this movie has moments of both, but
it also has its fair share of womp, womp, womp actually built into the soundtrack.
Yes.
I would also say it's kitschy as well, because it's got a 70s kitsch to it.
So kitsch, let's just take a moment. Kitschy, if I recall correctly, and I'm sorry, but I just want to make sure I got it. Kitschy means poor taste. That's right. I mean, if I'm going by, I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to trap you either. I literally don't know. To my knowledge, kitschy just means poor taste. If I stop at a gas station and I buy some little fuzzy dice, those are kitschy. They're not tasteful. They're tasteless. I put them in my car. It's a kitschy symbol, right? Or am I?
I mean, that's the definition. But it also depends on that's how you use it, because there are plenty of directors who kind of picked up on that and use that as part of their aesthetic.
Sure. Or like Tarantino kind of plays with the notion of that's the reality of those characters. So those characters like plastic and formica and polyester, and so not their world might be kitschy, but the stories, it's not kitschy. The work is not kitschy itself.
But I think one thing that we kind of circled back around to, though, is for all of its perhaps flaws, Planet of Dinosaurs, everything in the world fits in with the world.
That's true. Yeah.
And so it is extremely consistent, which again is probably part of why it wins the Saturn Award.
Yeah.
I mean, we're lucky in the fact that we have a lot of really great sci-fi stuff that's come out since then. But Saturn Award for under $1 million. And, again, you get a bunch of actors together, put together some ray guns and some really.
By the way, if you gave me $1 million, I could not make this movie. Just so you understand.
No, plenty of people have tried. There's a ton of you can find some stuff that I really don't enjoy, and stuff that is played for camp and played for haha.
That's again, that stuff that you hate, right?
Stuff I have to, hats off to them. This stuff isn't quite Harryhausen level, but for the amount of money that they're working for, they have a lot of creatures in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
They have distinctive personalities, and that T-Rex, which is like the dinosaur you see the most, is terrific. Like he interacts with stuff. Just a great looking monster effect, and they even have like a part where he gets in a fight with the beast from 20,000 Fathoms at the very end.
Right.
Super fun.
Yes.
And
Harvey. So Harvey gets poked in the chest by that creature, right?
The Centrosaurus. Yeah.
Okay, that's an amazing bit. I mean, it's I really like how well they interact with the actors, the monster. Yeah. I mean, it's really that stuff looks way better than it needs to look.
Also, if I had encountered this at the same age that Drew had, I could totally see why you would watch it over and over again.
I mean, I would start writing like like fanfic where I got to be a part of these guys' team.
Oh yeah.
And
I don't know, man. Like, I feel like, as I'm watching this as an adult, this is like one bad fight away from becoming Lord of the Fly. Like these.
No, I think that's what they're trying to. That's really, again, when I say swing for the fences, I think they're trying for that, and it just, you need a little bit more.
It needs a couple more drafts, maybe some different
direction,
actors.
because you also. A director who really is. Some people are people directors, and you're going to get. I mean, look. Let's be honest. The Star Wars prequels. You've got a ton of amazingly talented people turning in performances that are not.
That's true.
What they won Oscars for, right? And
yeah, Natalie Portman does not come across as the A-list actress that she is.
And that's for all the things that you might like about that shows. I mean, Lucas isn't as much of a people director. And I think that's a pretty fair. I mean, I don't mean to harsh. I mean, Lucas gave us a lot of cool stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I think in general, when you watch those performances and you go, "Whoa, that's kind of flat," or whatever. And then you see an A-list actor in another movie where they're really getting, then they're winning awards for that and stuff. You can tell where the strengths lie, right? So, I mean, this could be a case of the director going, and plus, I don't even know how long he had to shoot this thing, right? Like, you got a week to shoot everything. You might keep the first couple of takes, right?
Yes, that's a super good point.
So, as far as that goes, I mean, we can, Riff Tracks can make fun of it, and we can kind of gloss over like, oh, that was some not so great delivery, and why is this person saying things like, what are we, a bunch of possums? But in general, everything fits together really well, and it doesn't. And again, I'll take an earnest try.
Oh yes.
Somebody's really trying to make something, and there's not an irony to it. And I don't know. There could have been when creating this. I have no idea. I haven't done a documentary on it, but
I don't think this was. I think this was made very earnestly and with a. I think they were trying to make the best movie that they could make.
I'm with you in the fact that I think that the elevator pitch would be this kind of survival story, Robinson Crusoe, Swiss Family Robinson, anything that you want them to make of people trying to survive. Like, what happens when you are stuck on a prehistoric planet? The poster definitely is what they were aiming for, right?
Absolutely. Right.
So,
right.
I think that's, and and that's why I think we're talking about this and maybe not other stuff, is because you can see it all on the screen, and I'll take that any day.
Yeah.
There is some, other than the special effects, there's some other stuff about like this movie that I legitimately love. Like, I like the opening credits are kind of creepy and cool, and I like the score is this sort of proto new wave.
I don't know about the score.
Synth rock. I dig it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's nostalgia, but like
the score I heard, if that's is a very synthy.
Again, but I will say when you hire somebody for X budget, sense of the time give you the most kind of depth or width to go, okay, well, we can create these soundscapes without a lot of instrumentation, right?
Absolutely.
So you hire a person for X budget, and say, hey, you've got synths, give me a synth score for this. It's going to be relatively affordable for what you get. So
probably a good gig. but
the on the nose, boom, boom, womp, womp.
The goofy humor music, that is funny. And by the way, I don't think they do that anymore. Like, I don't remember the last time that a regular film, especially one that's not a comedy, would, a la old Hollywood, give you funny music whenever the funny character is on the screen. They just don't.
This is literally the last movie that ever did it.
Right. This killed it. It's done.
Now I want to lift the soundtrack.
It went extinct, but
oh, nice. Although now, the more I think about it, the more I would love to lift the soundtrack and put it over one of the Nolan Batman movies.
Right. Oh, please. Yeah.
What would make the Nolan Batman, like, would make the third, like the Dark Knight Rises, what would have made it better? Dinosaurs.
Oh yeah.
I mean. Sure.
Slide whistle. We've had so much fun discussing Batman this week. I swear to God, but I Jesus Christ, I wish those movies didn't exist. I mean, I just I
like those movies.
I mean, sure, I guess I really feel like they've taken us down a dark path that is going to take us 30 years to break out of.
That's a Dark Knight path.
Yeah.
Jason. No, I like the movies. Anytime I propose something like this, it's because I really, really love absurdity.
Yes.
Not
me
like
too.
laugh track absurdity. I just really like the juxtaposition of I
Absolutely
like that kind of humor. So the idea of taking, even in just clips, of taking this kind of weird synth score and then having, Bane be serious, like, I was born into like that kind of thing I would watch a lot.
Yeah.
We don't need the whole thing, but when I think
about that actually sounds like something you should do for YouTube, and truly a sense of irreverence towards those films would benefit all of us. I do think they're masterfully made.
There's a lot of parodies of those movies.
That's true. That's a super good point. I want the listener to know I am not a sacrilegious person. I admire the work that Nolan did on the Dark Knight movies. They're fine pieces of work.
You're really selling it.
Let's not go crazy. Two of them are good movies. I will stand by that. I do not actually think The Dark Knight Rises is that good, but that's a whole other dinosaur-less waste.
I posted, what I posted on Facebook the other day, by the way. I posted those effing pearls because I was just thinking about how I'm just wondering, if you say those effing pearls to everybody, do they immediately go, oh yeah, no, I know exactly what? Because I believe that Frank Miller gave us the bouncing pearls, and then they got used again in Batman Begins, and now we are never going to be rid of those stupid pearls.
I also would now that you talk about that, would see a cut where they just keep multiplying. So just as the memory comes back, just get more and more and more until it becomes almost like a ball pit. And the sound gets more and more. Anyway.
Yeah.
All I want is a good Mr. Freeze movie.
Oh man. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, no doubt about it.
And I also say we have talked a lot more about Batman than I thought we would tonight.
Yeah, but it's Hangout. We can get away with anything.
Oh yeah, it's game on. I'm not knocking it. I don't know why. I just didn't expect man to be. Although I now really want a Batman, because of what we were talking about, I now really want to write Batman on the Planet of the Dinosaurs.
Oh man,
I would watch that. I would love that.
Thing, right? Like there has to be.
There has to be what?
There has to be a Batman in like a Lost World setting, right? Like there's no.
Oh, absolutely.
Grant Morrison did a thing where Batman was a caveman. Maybe that had.
There's definitely that, and there's definitely episodes of Super Friends where they wound up with dinosaurs. So yes, totally. And the absurdity of Batman to me works great. I love the idea of Batman being in a place where it's just so abundantly strange that this person is dressed like a bat and running through a jungle. That's a funny idea, and I like that. So,
did you see Batman Ninja?
I've not seen
it. That's a crazy town thing, and I love it. But anyway,
so getting back to Planet of Dinosaurs, one of the things I was thinking of, there's this scene where all of them are together and they're like picking fruit from the trees, and I thought, if this were a television series, right? Mm-hmm. If it were like a 22 episode season, this would be much of what the show is. They would like have like domestic disputes and Jim and Captain Lee would be fighting over who was smarter this episode, and every like 3 or 4 episodes, Lee would like prove that Jim doesn't know everything. And
this actually probably would make an okay TV series.
Like, it'd be great. And then occasionally,
they sort of
dinosaurs.
Land of the Lost is a thing.
That's true. Actually, what I'm describing is Land of the Lost, only with shipwrecked people.
Right. Arc. It's basically like Arc. It's kind of like Arc 2 meets Land of the Lost or something like that.
That would be great. Yes. I don't know. It's so funny.
And they would have to constantly be trying to signal their way off the planet if possible.
Absolutely. Right.
Surely somebody's going to come looking for Harvey, that kind of
which
thing.
is also the truth with Gilligan's Island. So if Gilligan's Island had dinosaurs, that would be cool.
Which was also Far Out Space Nuts as well. Leave no plot device unturned.
Now let me think. Far Out Space Nuts. Was that actually Bob Denver and Alan Hale?
No, it wasn't Alan Hale.
Oh, it wasn't Alan Hale. It was Bob Denver. So who was the guy? That's terrible. Oh God, that was intended to appeal to kids who couldn't tell that wasn't the skipper. Oh my gosh, that blows my mind. Did you watch Lost Saucer? This is a terrible conversation. I can't believe we're still talking about it. But did you watch Lost Saucer with Buzzy and Jim Neighbors?
Yes.
All right.
I mean, you can't. There wasn't. You're talking about a time people still won't believe it, but you're talking about a time where there were 3 channels.
Right. Everybody watched the same thing.
Well, that's another thing, like about how I came to this movie. I keep going back to that.
Yeah.
And it's easy. Like if you're a kid and you're in the monsters and dinosaurs and sci-fi and horror, it's easy to think of like, well, why would you watch this movie? Nowadays, when you have like basically unlimited options. We're on going on 6th Jurassic, which has millions of dollars pumped into it, and movie stars and things like that. None of that stuff existed yet. So if you wanted to see a dinosaur and you had watched King Kong a million times, watched Guanji a million times, and you wanted something kind of like that, a movie like this was looking pretty cool.
Oh, heck yeah.
It has a lot of the same stuff in it. Plus, that Star Trek veneer over it, so, that's
makes total sense to me. I mean, to me, you do not have to defend this choice. I completely, and also I think you get a lot more, and I'm not making up. This is the truth, Drew. The truth. I think you get a lot more out of watching this movie. If you're going to come out afterwards and go, hey, I got to write something. You're going to get more inspiration here than watching something new, because you cannot steal from something brand new. It is already a mesh. It is a produced thing based on all of the ideas that person already ingested. You have to go back to other stuff. So it is way better for me and my constitution as a writer to watch Planet of Dinosaurs than to watch Jurassic World. Absolutely. Well, what can I get out of watching Jurassic World? It's brand new. I can't rip it off. So,
you can rip it off.
You can, but that's
you're probably not going to get away with it. But
I say rip off. I use the term loosely. You know what I mean?
I mean, look, the Jurassic Park films are filled with stuff that was ripped off of movies. So, or should I say clone?
Sure. I want to watch some Far Out Space Nuts, man.
I like what So
maybe you do. Part, I don't know.
for my part, as an adult, I like watching both. I like seeing things that I haven't seen before. We were talking about watching I've been watching a lot of indie horror movies lately. We were talking about that before we started recording, and I like to see the Jurassic Park films because I just like seeing movies with dinosaurs in them because I like dinosaurs.
Yeah.
But I guess a very well documented fact now because of this podcast. But
right.
Now that I say that, I am filled with both wonder and horror, as I know there is now a over 300 episode document of what my interests are.
It would be so interesting to take this work, this 300 or whatever episodes it is, and just stuff them into an audio transcriber and create a word cloud of the stuff that we are obsessed with and talk about. If any of us ever runs for office, that's the first thing that our enemies are going to do.
Oh my God! Well, I would never do that. First of all, because it sounds like drag.
No way! Yeah. What we do know is Drew wants everybody to open the door and get on the floor and watch some dinosaurs.
Yes.
Everybody watch some dinosaurs. That's what. But first, he wants them to open the door and get on the floor.
Wow.
Yes.
We know.
Boom, boom, shaka-laka-laka, boom.
Exactly.
That was Was Not Was, wasn't it? I think there was.
Walk
Or
the
was
There
it?
was Was Not Was,
I'm
which is
just
the
joking
rock band of Don Was, who was the producer of
Walk
the B-52s.
the dinosaur was not was. You were right.
Yeah. I know my
Good memory.
cheesy rock producers. Thank you.
Good memory.
Everybody watched Planet of the Dinosaurs.
It was Planet of the Dinosaurs, which had gore in it, even though it's pretty timid. Or I could watch Baby, Secret of the Lost Legend another time. That was another movie I watched a lot.
Oh man, that's been a long.
I
think my younger siblings watched that a bunch, but I think I was just old enough to where I thought that was kind of cheesier. Even though the effects on that are actually cool if I remember.
Although I will say, I think special effects in this have aged better than that, because like the animatronics,
I think so too.
The animatronics seem a little stiff in that, whereas this, like, there's only a couple of scenes where I feel like the dinosaurs, their movement is not particularly fluid. You know, like I said, it's not quite Ray Harryhausen good, but it's pretty damn good. You know, and like I would totally, like, if they were to put out, if somebody, one of those toy companies that cash ins on cult movies, were to put out a model of the T-Rex from this movie, I would totally buy it, like in a heartbeat.
If it came with little action figures of the team, I would be into that.
A diorama of the cover. A diorama of the cover would be cool.
Sure.
Oh my God,
I want little Captain Lee and Jim, who are gonna be like constantly, you know, in my little playscape, are going to be exercising their rivalry and also occasionally besting one another. And
oh man, can you imagine
and drinking beer and eating beef jerky like 70s men?
Right. Can you imagine though, now that we're talking about it, if there was a Land of the Lost, but instead of it being Land of the Lost, it was more like Dark Shadows.
Yeah,
so like a melodramatic, which I guess is kind of sort of Planet of the Giants in a way, which that's probably for most people a deep cut.
Planet of the Giants? You mean the one with Beau Bridges? Or am I
Valley of the Giant? Oh man, no.
I may not know it, but crash landing on a Dark Shadows planet sounds a lot like Waxwork 2 in a sense.
We should do those movies.
Boy, should we? Yeah. And by the way, I really like this idea of, we should wrap up, but I love this idea of doing Kiss Me Deadly. Because that was somebody had that
If you went to a party late Saturday night, you didn't get in a fight.
That's an 80s deep cut. Yeah, but I mean that would be a great episode. And I wonder, would it need to be a Hangout? Probably needs to be a Hangout, because it's not technically a horror movie, although it has horrible violence. But there is no way I can argue that is a horror movie. It's definitely not. At its most genre, it is a science fiction film.
Sorry, Land of the Giants.
Right. And I don't know Land of the Giants.
So I before we wrap up,
so
we can bring this back home. This movie ends with them actually killing the T-Rex, although the basic, I would argue the T-Rex kills himself because he basically impales himself. Yes. So the thing I found frustrating about this movie as a kid is one of the things that I actually really like about it as an adult is they don't get off of the planet. They are stuck on the Planet of Dinosaurs at the end, to the point where like two of the women have even had kids. Like most of the party's dead. There is now 2 women and 3 men, which I'm like, there are fights there. Like we didn't see what happened in between. You know,
the 4 years that it's been. Right.
Yeah. But there is some Jim has some gray in his beard by the end of this movie. I kind of dig that they don't get off. Like I actually think that's like a gutsy move, because it's not exactly like their victory is like it's kind of a really small scale thing, because like they just kill this dinosaur that's been hassling them for most of the movie, but it's the only dinosaur on that planet. It's not even like it's the only T-Rex on that planet. I'm sure there's a lot of them. I don't know. There's just something kind of, I don't want to give it too much credit, but there's something sort of Carpenter-esque about that they just don't get off they don't get off the island, so to speak. And I want to know if I'm the only one that feels that way.
Well, they also, She has a line where they go, "Hey, you think we're going to get off the planet?" And she goes, "Well, does it matter?" They've kind of established this, and that's actually kind of cool. I'm
cool.
with you. Like, it's, again, I'll take a movie that swings for the fences and is sincere about it over a not so sincere movie anytime. So even though maybe everything's not perfect about that, the ideas behind it and that part of the script, like, okay, cool. That's, they're gonna forge their little house on the dinosaur planet.
Yeah.
their homestead while they defend themselves from dinosaur attacks.
See, you said it again. There, Little House on the Prairie. Again, you can come up with all these plots that involve nothing but people standing around with brooms, and then you can add dinosaurs to that. So
everything is better with dinosaurs.
Yes.
Law and Order dinosaur planet.
I firmly believe this is my comic book. See, I added dinosaurs into my comic book. What happened? Got nominated for a prestigious award. Why? Because everything's better with dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So you did open the door.
And then I got on the floor.
You got on that award floor.
Yeah.
Everybody add some dinosaurs. That
Damn
should
right.
be your motto. That should be on the back of your business card. Everybody add some dinosaurs.
Everybody add some time. Well, I don't want to give everybody the secret of my success.
That's a good point.
Oh yeah. Well, now that you've done it, it'll just feel like they're also rans.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're
we should wrap this up, and I'm curious if
we did that bad. You're like, oh no, this is far out.
It's but I know that we could do this forever, and in fact, I'm just thinking, if you had to pick something to endorse that would make sense to go with this week's show, like if you're interested in watching this, you might also want to check out that. Like, what would that be? And by the way, I don't know what the answer is for me.
I'm actually going to go back, and it's been on cable off and on, but now I'm actually going to have to go back and search for Land of the Giants, because they crash land on the Land of the Giants, so it fits thematically with the beginning of this movie too.
I would really love a Planet of Vampires, and I'm not talking about Bava's Planet of Vampires. I mean, like Ray Bradbury style. For some reason, you land on a planet, and these guys have turned the planet into like a 1940s Universal horror movie for reasons that make no sense. And there's vampires.
That would be awesome. Who episode like that?
Yes. It's like a medieval planet.
Yeah.
Is there a what episode?
Doctor Who, like
Tom Baker.
I knew I did not imagine that.
No, Tom Baker's like my favorite Doctor Who. Well, I mean, it's what I grew up with, so
it's hard not to like Tom Baker.
Jason, now that you mention it, I have ideas about that now. Yeah.
All right, well, hold on to that.
And also, I also would endorse, like, I'm gonna dig up Land of the Giants, but also if anybody wants to make T.J. Hooker in the Land of Dinosaurs, that sounds good too.
I love that idea.
The Fall Guy, like a stunt man in the Land of Dinosaurs. That sounds fantastic.
Yes.
Well, I as far as my own tie-ins, I have to say, because it's the whole reason why we did this episode. If you want to see Halloween Man in a Land of Dinosaurs, you can actually go read both parts of that on Comixology.
And what's the double part? What's it called?
It is inappropriate now, but it's called Day That Time Forgot. And there's part 1 and 2 on there, and it's issues 21 and 22. So you can, and we have a whole bunch of new stuff coming up, but this is what's the most recent stuff, and it's Dynamite. Yeah, I did that. But also I would say, if you want another kind of more low budget dinosaur movie, although it's a decades after this, the movie that we almost did for this, the adaptation of The Lost World with John Rhys Davies and David Warner, is actually a really fun movie. Like it's pretty decent adaptation of the Conan Doyle novel, and it's one I rewatch every few years. Like I don't think I think it kind of gets, as far as 90s dinosaurs movies, of course it gets trampled by the Jurassic Park movies, and I think it also gets overshadowed by Carnosaur, which is a crazy movie, and I wish was streaming somewhere, because I would have loved to have done that one, because that movie is batshit insane. But I think The Lost World from 1992 is a fun movie, and that's on Prime right now. Like you could watch it right now. So that's my other endorsement is watch the movie we almost did.
Yes.
We were this close, and I was like, and you were right, Jason. I did switch in part because I thought you would enjoy the fact that there is a riff track.
That's so kind of you. That is truly that's a very sweet thought.
Well, you're welcome.
That's true.
By the way, Drew, if conventions ever happen again, that should be your selling line. If somebody goes, would I like this? You can say, you dino might like that. Do you like these things? Well, you dino might like this comic I'm selling you.
Okay, I have something to say. If you are a listener and you are listening to this episode, I'm going to say right now something that we have not mentioned anywhere else. We are going to mention in this article. But, I'm going to bet that only about half of our regular listeners listen to the Hangout episodes. So I'm going to go ahead and give a little secret, and that is this. Actually, I'm just going to say it this much. We have a book coming out. That is my endorsement, is you should look up the Castle of Horror podcast book. You will be hearing more about it very soon. That is my endorsement, because it's going to be super awesome, and we're going to be spending time talking about our favorite movies, and I can't wait. That's going to be a blast. Have you guys seen the cover yet?
No,
you have not seen the cover? Oh, you got to check it out.
Yeah.
Go to your Amazon and look for the Castle of Horror podcast book.
Man, you're playing all your cards, though, my friends.
Yeah. So, all right, but I'm just going to bet that's only a certain number of people listen this far, and this is a special treat for them. So,
you stuck with our terrible puns. Here is a gift. ye who have made it through a Batman discussion during a dinosaur podcast, here is what you have.
A no doubt infuriating one. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Exactly.
You think the Batman discussion is infuriating? Nah, come on.
I feel like if you're a lover of Batman, I'm sure that you'll find some of my thoughts just terribly.
There are plenty of Batman. Here's the thing.
Okay. I'm listening.
Oddly Batman-filled dinosaur podcast. Here's the thing. Batman has been around a lot, that there is multi-generational fandom, and different versions of Batman appeals to different kinds of fans. So I definitely see people that agree with what you were saying all the time, just like how there are tons of people that enjoy all the other, there is a Batman for everybody, and that is probably why Batman is so successful.
That's super good. I think next week, if we do the Hangout next week, I think we should do Kiss Me Deadly. I think that's a wonderful idea. We won't quite announce it, but that's at the front of my mind. We'll continue to discuss it in email and see if that's where we land. So yeah. Right. Thank you, everybody. This was a blast. Drew, thank you for bringing this crazy movie into our lives. I feel better for it.
I am happy that not everybody wasn't going, Drew, why did you make us watch this?
All right. Thank you very much. I will see you guys.
I watched it twice.
I just now played it in my office. So, yeah. All right. Ciao.
Good
night, everyone. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.